Hi guys, it is Colleen, and I am here with Carla Estell, one of our, I guess, speakers is the way to put it, for the conference, which is only like less than 2 weeks away now. So getting very close. Hi Carla.
Hello. Hi, Colleen.
So first off, I guess just tell us a little bit about you, your family, and like how you got into or why you got into homeschooling.
All right, that's a bit of a long story. I'm actually a veteran homeschooler now. I graduated my last in May of last year. So it was a long time ago. We were living in Georgia at the time, and my husband was teaching in a Christian school. And in some Christian schools, you have to send your kids if you teach there. But this one, it's option. You can still
Okay.
homeschool. However, if you wanted to send them, you only got a discounted price. You didn't get full tuition.
Oh,
So, even though there were times I wanted to send my firstborn, there wasn't the option. We couldn't afford it.
couldn't afford it.
But in the end, I was very glad that I homeschooled. He needed a lot of one-on-one attention and would not have done well in a classroom anyways. So, yeah. I've got 6 children, which I've homeschooled. Um, Several of them have learning problems. A couple of them had no problems whatsoever. So, a couple of them were very, what would you call it, compliant,
Uh-huh.
eager to please. Yep. Couple were not. So, it was a
Was gonna say, you
full
always seem to have a few
range.
of those that,
Yes, yes. You
and
have
that's kind
to,
of the fun of
in every
homeschooling
family.
is learning how to adapt to everybody's and getting them the best. Sorry. In the bag out there.
Yes.
I'm on a video call. God, it never fails. When I get on a video
Yes.
call, everybody needs my attention. Um, But yes, that is the nice thing about it is being home and being able to take care of everybody as well as figuring out what their needs are homeschool wise or education wise to help them be the best student. Like you said, even if they struggled or were compliant, you know what I mean? You could tailor it to what they needed and
To
wanted
what
and
they needed.
could make him
Yes,
excel even better than just being in school and, kind of going with the flow that everybody else is set at. So
exactly.
the next thing is, did you ever wanna quit? I know you said you wanted to send your
Oh, so
firstborn,
many
but
times. Oh, so many times.
I think all of us have
Um,
I mean, I'm still
oh, yeah.
relatively new, but I know I've already said, "Okay, we're just gonna go back to school," and then 5 minutes later, it's like, "No, we're not gonna do that," like, that is
Right,
but I think everybody's had
right.
that feeling that that's an
Yeah,
option.
an option out there. Right, right. It wasn't until we moved to Illinois and, see, this is kind of interesting. Down south, all the little schools consolidated into large schools way back,
Oh,
but in the north, they didn't.
right, I was gonna say, we
So,
still have a lot
when
of
we
pretty
moved
small schools.
Right, right, right. So, when we moved to Tremont, and Tremont has its own elementary school, middle school, and high school, my kids were saying, "Oh, mom, it's like a Christian school practically. It's small, Christian teachers, blah, 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 blah. Can we go to school? Blah, blah, blah." So, we actually let 2 of our boys say, "Okay, high school, off you go." After a year, one wanted to come back home for his senior year. So, yeah, so even in the small school, it still wasn't the best. The
I was gonna say
curriculum, yeah,
our
yeah.
school, we were
So
very lucky. Our school is mostly Christian based, and in general, most of the teachers, that's the way they were raised. And but again, the state still issued stuff, and I mean, we got sent home notes, and they called and like had a conference and whatever. But they're like, "This is mandated. We don't have a choice. Whether we agree with it or not isn't our choice.
right,
So here are the days
right.
that we're doing it. You can pull your kids out of school." Well, that wasn't really that was some of the reason, but mine had to do with my daughter not being pushed enough, like, she needed to excel faster than what they were
Mm,
doing, and when I mentioned it, they're like, "Well, she's smart, but she's not that smart," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm not asking her to jump, I'm asking you to push her further, faster," you know what I mean? And
right,
they're just not
and you
able to
can't
do
do that
that.
when
Yeah.
not when you have a classroom. You gotta keep them
So
all at the
that
same
that
level.
was our big thing, and my son just kind of came along for the ride, and he loved it, so he was like, "I'm not going back to
Mm.
school, like, this whole 8 hours a day thing is for the birds." He's like,
Right, they can
"I
get
can do my
done so
work in
much
less
quicker.
than that and still have free time and, do other things." So, yeah, they've enjoyed it thoroughly, so well, I
Well,
guess that
good.
kinda leads into the next question. What made you start doing these conferences, teaching, and, sharing your knowledge?
Um, let's see, back when we lived in Michigan, is
Oh, Carla?
d
Okay, there you are.
okay, very good. I got a disconnect message for a minute there. Um, are are you able to edit these or
Actually, it
no?
doesn't really matter. No, I've never
Oh,
tried to edit, but it doesn't
oh.
matter.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. So the question was doing the conferences. Basically, over the years, there has been so much that God has taught me as far as how to teach my kids that I've wanted to pass this on to others. So there's a lot of kids out there who struggle, and God taught me how to teach mine. So I pass that on now. And then I just love teaching kids. So Friday, I've got the three kids sessions to do, which
Okay, yeah.
I've done now, I think for 4 or 5 years.
I was gonna say, that was my next
So,
question is what are your
yes,
sessions and, like, who would benefit from them? So
right. Well, this year I'm going with totally new sessions. So, for the kids, one will be on the wonders of trees, and that will be basically a botany lesson.
okay,
So, but we'll have hands-on stuff, we'll hand motions and whatnot, lots of pictures. Kids should still enjoy it, even though it's learning botany. And then the next one is going to be on God our Creator is still in control. There's a lot of push nowadays on climate change and fear, and kids are really overwhelmed with this idea of humans are destroying the planet. So that's going to be one of the talks.
okay.
Um, and I know that sounds kind of heavy, but I can bring stuff down to kids level pretty easy. And
Well, and
then
it is a
the other
big
talk for
topic.
the oh,
I mean, truly, the
it is a
kids,
big and it's a
they've
needed
gotten it
topic.
no matter where they go, you know what I mean? Even though they're homeschooled, it's still on cartoons, it's on, you know what I mean? It's everywhere out
Yes,
in the world. So no, I think it is a good topic. And yes, as long as you can bring it down to their level, it's something that they need to understand and be able to, you know what I mean, stand up for their part of what they believe in, not just go along with, well, my mom
right,
said this or my dad said this, you know what I mean? Know why they believe what they
right.
believe.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, the bottom line with that is God has promised us that there's gonna be, settled seasons. You know, there will always be spring following winter and summer and fall. And so, and it's God that controls the climate. It's
Right.
not people.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
right. So, and then the other one is basically search for truth, which is creation versus evolution, looking at it side by side. Here's what the secular view is. Here's what we see in nature, and here's what the Bible says. So it's laying it all out there so that the kids can see it.
Okay.
And it,
And yeah,
of
that's
course,
again
brings them
another
to
one
those
that
Bibles. They,
has
right.
been
It's everywhere.
shoved down, you know what I mean? Whether
Right.
and I was gonna say, because I know my kids have asked some of the questions, you know what I mean? Like, well, how did science? I said, well, God created those scientists, so they're still created. Because no, I do youth group, and one of my kids said, well,
Mm.
I've never seen God. And I said, you've never seen the sun, but we still believe that it's there. I said, you see a
Oh,
ball in the sky. but who's to say that that's you know what I mean? Like we
Right, right,
titled
right.
that. Somebody, God created that person that came up with calling the sun. And same thing with like the world is round. Somebody discovered that. It wasn't just one of those, oh, it just happened. I said, God created all those people. God put all those people on earth. And then they're like, oh, well, I said, yeah, when you think of it that way, that makes it a whole lot different story. I said, there's no way God that man just created all this, you know what I mean, willy-nilly. It doesn't work
Right.
that way. Like it doesn't make
It
any
doesn't work.
sense. So,
No, no, and it's too fine-tuned to have created itself,
right, exactly.
everything. Yeah,
Our bodies
yeah,
don't work, you know what I mean? Like if we created our, you know what I mean, from a primordial ooze thing, there's no way that we would have as intricate of a design as we
ex
do. So
exactly.
I'm like, yeah, it just
Yeah,
doesn't work. But okay. So
right.
last thing,
So
go ahead.
uh-huh. Oh, I was just gonna say on Saturday, I've got a mom's class that's, more of come and glean, so it'll be a hodgepodge of stuff I've learned over the years, just
Okay.
passing on. So it'll cover things like, my couple of my kids were dyslexic, so it's gonna cover dyslexia, how to help your kids with that, how to help with math, some ideas for, neighborhood outreach and that type of thing, and just a smorgasbord
I
for
was gonna
that
say,
one.
yeah, we've had a lot of people question, well, what about the social part of homeschooling? And I said, there
Oh,
is more than enough
right.
social if you care to actually pay attention and try. I said, yes, if you want to
Right.
sit in your own little box, you can definitely do that. But I'm like, I run a group. One of the, actually, our groups are pretty, they're the same people that come to all the same things, but I said, "We have a
Oh, okay.
close-knit." It's no different than if you go to school, you have the same classroom. I said, "Ours is the same group of
Exactly.
kids that go to everything, but they're all friends, they all get along, everybody plays." And like I do, she does a
Oh,
hiking
good.
group, I do a recess group, and that's what we call it, is recess, because it's just everybody getting together and playing. There is no necessarily learning built into it. It's just go to the
Right.
park, play, talk, you know what I mean, just to meet other people. But I said, yeah, there is
Yeah.
no reason unless you choose to stay in, you know what I mean, under a rock, that you have to be under a rock for homeschooling. Like it's not like
Right.
that
Right.
anymore. So,
Right. Homeschoolers are actually more socialized because they're used to being in a variety of ages. They're not just
yep.
stuck with their age group, you know?
Well,
There's
yeah,
such
they
a thing, "Oh, she's 2 years younger than me. I don't have anything to do with her." You know, it's
uh-huh.
like, no. When you're homeschooled, ages kinda don't matter.
Right. Well, and yeah, they kind of play with who they want to play with. And if that
Right.
happens to be 3 years older or 5 years younger, it doesn't matter. We get along, we're on the same wavelength. So we, go and have fun. And with homeschooling, if say your buddy that's 5 years younger than you is studying something and you want to study it, then mom can readjust it so it's to your age level, but you're still learning about
Right.
the same thing as your friend is, or vice versa. You know what I mean? If they're younger and it needs to go older, again, curriculum gets shared so easily and it can be reworked to any level for anybody, which I think is kind of cool because, yeah, you don't have to always have, "Oh, well, I have a 5th grader and I have an 8th grader, so they can't do the same thing at the same time."
Oh,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? They can kinda
Right.
do it all at once and just readjust, so the 8th graders' work is harder than the 5th graders, obviously, but you know what I mean?
Right.
You don't have to learn something totally different all the time for each one of them. So, I think
Right.
that's kind of one of my big things that I figured out. So,
Hmm.
last but not least, is there
Uh-huh.
any, like, motto or phrase or something like that that has kind of been your catchphrase?
Go to. Not really a phrase. I've got a couple of verses.
Okay.
One being Philippians 4:13, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." And there's been so many times I've thought, "I can't do this," but, God has enabled. And then James 1:5, summarized, "If anyone lacks wisdom, ask God, God will give it to him." So, which has also been many times.
I was gonna say, I think
Yep,
both of those are very good because, yes, as
yep.
a mom, let alone as a homeschooling mom, both of those are very, aptly put.
Yes, yes.
Well, I appreciate you
Yes.
taking a few minutes. I was gonna say, will let you get back to your day, and I have kids that I know my husband is
Oh,
now running around
yes.
trying to figure out.
Uh-oh.
So, I will let you go, but
Mm,
I appreciate your time, and we'll see you at the
certainly.
convention.
All right, sounds good.
Thank
Right.
you.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
Bye.